welcome back to this week's Children's Ministry Online. We have some cool dance moves ready for you and a story and a craft, so let's get into it.
My soul finds rest in God alone. My soul finds rest in God alone. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him, and He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken, never be shaken. My soul finds rest in God alone. My soul finds rest in God alone. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken, never be shaken. Never be shaken. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. My soul finds rest in God alone. My salvation comes from Him. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken. He alone is my rock and my salvation. He is my fortress, I will never be shaken, never be shaken. Never be shaken. Never be shaken. Never be shaken.
All right, let's get into our story for today. So we'll be reading from the Jesus Storybook Bible, and our story for this week is How to Pray, which is Jesus teaches people about prayer, which is a paraphrase of the Lord's Prayer from Matthew 6. In those days, there were some extra super holy people, at least that's what they thought, and they were called Pharisees. Every day they would stand out there in the middle of the street and pray out loud in big, extra, super holy voices. They really weren't praying so much as just showing off. They used lots of special words that were so clever, but no one understood what they meant. People walking by would stop and stare, which might sound rude, except that's exactly what the extra super holy people wanted. They wanted everyone to say, "Look at them, they're so holy. God must love these people extra." Now, you and I both know that that is not right. God doesn't just love holy people, but the people walking by weren't so sure. Perhaps you did have to be really clever or good or important for God to love you. Perhaps you had to know lots of difficult and clever words to speak to God. So one day, Jesus taught people how to pray. He said, when you pray, don't pray like those extra super holy people. They think if they say lots of words, God will hear them. But it's not because you're so clever or good or so important that God will listen to you. God listens to you because he loves you. Did you know that God is always listening to you? Did you know that God can hear the quietest whisper deep inside your heart, even before you've started to say it? Because God knows exactly what you need, even before you ask him, Jesus told them. You see, God just can't wait to give you all that you need. So you don't need to use long words or special words. You don't have to use a special voice. You just have to talk. So when you pray, pray in your normal voice. Just like when you're talking to someone that you love very much. Like this. Hello, Dad. We want to know you and be close to you. Please show us how. Make everything in the world right again, and in our hearts too. Do what is best, just like you do in heaven. And please do it down here too. Please give us everything that we need today. Forgive us for doing wrong, for hurting you. Forgive us just as we forgive other people when they hurt us. Rescue us. We need you. We don't want to keep running away and hiding from you. Keep us safe from our enemies. You're strong, God. You can do whatever you want. You are in charge, now and forever and for always. We think you're great. Amen. Yes, we do. We do think that God is great. You see, Jesus was showing people that God would always love them with a never stopping, never ending, never giving up, unbreaking, always and forever love. So they didn't need to hide anymore or be afraid or ashamed. They could stop running away from God and they could run to him instead, as a little child runs into her daddy's arms. Well, it's so important for us to know how to pray to God and to really have that relationship with him and know that we can just talk with him normally. We don't have to use crazy words or crazy gestures or anything like that. We can just talk to him like we do with our parents or our best friend. And he's there to listen to us, comfort us, and help guide us wherever we need. Well, I'm excited for this week's craft, so let's get into it. All right, let's get into this week's craft. So for the supplies that you will need, we are going to be using, I have a color piece of paper, and this is a cardstock, so it is the thicker kind of paper. You can just choose whatever color you want, or you could use white. And then I just grabbed a whole bunch of white pieces of paper, and this is where you all get to choose whatever or how many pieces you want. Today we're going to be making a prayer book journal. So depending on how many pieces of paper you want in your journal, that will depend on how many pieces of paper you will need. So I will probably say that the max you'll probably want is 4 pieces of paper. So we'll put these to the side and we'll just take these. I have a hole puncher, some scissors, a string. I have stretchy string, but you can just use regular string, or if you don't have string, you can use a rubber band and just cut it, and then you can use that to tie your book together. And then we have our coloring utensils. I have a pen, and yeah. So if you want to go and grab your supplies, I'll meet you back here once you're done. All right, now that you have all your supplies, the first thing that we are going to do is get the thick colored piece of paper that you got, and we are going to draw the outline of our handprints. So we're going to put our hands on there, and then we'll just trace along. And I recommend, if you have smaller hands, to maybe trace your parents' hands, or you can just make them bigger. So instead of going straight, you can kind of go out a little bit and trace it that way, so it will look like you have bigger hands or bigger fingers, just because we want to make sure that our book is big enough for us to be able to write in, and our hands are going to be the covers and the back of it. So let's trace our hands. You can use whatever color you want, and I'll actually use a pen just so that it's not as thick. So go ahead and trace both of your hands on this piece of paper. Perfect. Now that you've traced your hands, now we are going to cut them out with our handy dandy scissors. So go ahead and cut out your hand prints. All right, once you are done tracing your hands or your parents' hands, you can put them together. They are going to look different because all of our hands are not exactly the same, but that's what makes this very unique and special to us. So I have my 2 hands that I have done. Now we're going to set those to the side, and we're going to take our white pieces of paper. So I will just use 2 pieces of paper, but you can use as many as you would like. What we're doing is we're folding these into quarters. So we'll fold it in half, and then we'll fold it again, and those are going to go inside of our hands. So each page will make 4 pieces of paper. So I'll just put 8 pages in my prayer book, but you might want 16. So then you can do 2 more pieces of paper. Or if you want even more, you can find more pieces of paper and cut those up. So what we'll do now is, to make sure that each page is the right size, we will fold each page individually. So we're gonna fold each paper in half, and then we'll fold it in half one more time, just like that. So when you put it up against your hand, it'll be about that big, or your parents' hand, or however you decided to do it. If your hand is smaller and you want to make it smaller, you can go ahead and fold it in half one more time. Or if you don't like how big that this looks, you can also fold it in half one more time. Then you'll get even more pages, and you can do something like this. So I will just stick with this for right now. So I'm going to fold my other piece of paper just the same as I did that, just right in half, and then in half one more time. Perfect. So now that we've done that, now I'm going to unfold just one of the folds that I made, and we're just gonna cut it right in half following the line that we made when we folded it. So we'll just cut right against this line and do the same thing for this side. And once you have done that, then you can pull apart the next fold like this, and you can line them up just like this. And the same fold line will be right in the center, and you'll just cut right down the middle on this one as well. So now you have 4 pieces that are right about the same size. And then you'll do it again with this, and then we'll have 4 more pieces, which will make 8. So we'll just cut right down the middle where our fold line is. Put them together, put these together. So now we have 4 pieces of paper, just like this. We'll kind of go through. So now how we're gonna make this look. So I have, you can see some of the pen line that I did to trace my hand. So I'm gonna flip this over and have this be on that side. And then we'll flip this one over as well, and this one will be on this side. If you wanna try and make it a little bit more straight, you can, kind of like that. So this is going to be our book. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a hole punch. And actually, if you want to make it a little bit more easier for your hole punching, you can put the pinkies up against the side of your book like that. So that is up against there, and this is up against there. You can see that it's a little bit crooked, or that this part is hanging out a bit, so we can trim that afterwards. But to help us with tying and hole punching, we'll do that. So you can, I'm sure that trying to hole punch through all of these papers might be a little bit difficult. So you can just take 2 or 3 pieces of paper at a time. You'll pick them up, and then you'll do 1 hole punch, and then you'll do another hole punch. So then after that, you have those 2 hole punches, and then you'll grab 2 or 3 more pieces of paper. You'll line it up with your other hole punches, because you want to make sure that you put them in the exact same spot. So you'll go over your hole punch that you already made and just do it one more time. That way the rest of the papers get done. So go ahead and do that for all of your pieces of white paper and your back cover hand. All right, after you have hole punched your book together, now we want to make sure that we can see the holes. We'll set it down, and now we're going to grab our string or the rubber band that we're going to cut in half. So you'll go ahead and you'll measure about the length of your book plus a little bit, and then we'll just cut it right there. So now we're gonna loop it through the front of each hole, just like that. We'll bring it through together, and then we're going to tie it together on the back. And you can double knot it, triple knot it, but you just wanna make sure that it is gonna stay there and not move. So I did 2 knots, and I'll probably do 1 more just to make sure. Then after that, you can cut off any of the excess string just like that. And now you can see that I have a little bit of excess of the hand part. So to make that match my story pages, we are going to just cut right along where the red is. And now it is even, just like that. So now when you open it, it'll go like this. You can open it up to a bunch of different pages, and there's the end. So what's really cool about this is it is just a way to look like your hands are folded just like this, just like you're praying. So now, once you've made your book, this is when you get to decorate it however you would like to. So I recommend putting on the front cover something that says like my prayer journal, my prayer book, or something like that. Or you can just say prayer journal and then have your name written on there. But just something nice. And then because you can see this first page, it might be kind of cool to decorate this page. And then the rest of these can be your journal, your prayers that you want to write down, just stuff that you can talk through with God, and it can just be something that you have written down, and that can be just a really nice way of connecting with Him. So I will decorate this front hand and this front picture just to give you guys an idea of what you can do, and then feel free to decorate it however you all would like to do it. All right, so here's just an idea of how I did my prayer journal. And then I just left these empty. And then these can all just be written in. And then the back, if you want to, you can write something on the back of this sheet or the back of this hand. I might just write something like the end. Or you can write all done. You can also use this just for coloring, because sometimes we all have different talents, and we can use our talents to really like connect with God. And so if you have an artistic ability, I think just being able to do that and dedicate it to the Lord is just something very special. So I hope that you enjoyed this and that you will be able to use your prayer journal, prayer book, however you decided to name it, a lot. And yeah, it's just a really neat activity to be able to do. So I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching this week's Children's Ministry Online. Remember to show us some of the crafts that you have made by going onto our Facebook page at Calvary Chapel Community and clicking the Community tab. Well, we hope that you have a great rest of your week, and we'll see you soon.